We could talk watts and newton meters all day long, but today I'm going to do a really simple experiment using my e-mountain bike and my mountain bike. I'm going to ride at a set effort level over a set period of time and see how much further I get on the e-bike. I'm back on my Canyon Talk, love this thing. If you love this bike and you love e-bike action, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. I'm going to keep this experiment really simple. I'm going to ride up a hill for exactly 5 minutes on both bikes. And I'm also trying to keep this realistic as well, for me at least, on how I ride these things. So I would say my efforts are kind of mixed nowadays. I rarely go out and go really hard on either bike. What I normally do is keep my effort fairly regulated on the climb so I can make the most out of the descents. So actually I'm going to use my Garmin with a heart rate monitor strap to make it super accurate. I'm going to ride in my zone 3 effort, which is not crazy by any means. And hopefully by this video, you'll also see how much I can get out of both bikes over a full day. I'm lucky enough to have a couple of bikes, and I do still split my time between the mountain bike and the e-mountain bike, but I'll tell you about the bikes I'm riding today, and they are my go-to bikes. This is a Canyon Spectral trail machine. I love this thing. It's really fun, really fast, really thrashable and throw around a ball, should I say. It's 140mm rear travel, 150 up front, full 29er, carbon fibre frame. It's got a really decent spec on this. It's SRAM Axis GX, wireless gears, and it weighs in at around 15 kilograms. My downhill e-bike, which is a bike that I use for everything still, it looks like a monster. I love the look of this thing. This is my Canyon Talk on CF, Roxon edition that I have upgraded. You may have seen the video where I put the downhill fork on it. But it is my sort of do-it-all e-bike because, don't forget, this bike has a 900 watt-hour battery inside it, so it's got the stamina to match mine, or at least more than mine, should I say. But it's a big hitting bike, 175mm rear travel. Obviously, it's got a coil shock piggyback on there, rock shocks, and it's got, well, normally has a 180 fork up front. I've actually upgraded, should we say, to a RockShox Boxer 200mm. Still carbon fibre frame. This is a mixed wheel size bike, and it weighs in its current setup, at around 25 kilograms. Right, so I'm going to use my Garmin Edge 840 Solar on my handlebars as my dashboard, and I'm going to ride in my zone 3. We could talk about zone training quite a lot. There's a lot of debate about this, but I've always used the 5 zones. And actually zone 3, to keep it simple, is kind of a moderate effort, and that is 70 to 80% of my maximum heart rate, which I know is around 183 BPM. Some people call this aerobic, just below tempo, etc. But I think it can get really complicated. And some people, like I say, tend to use different ways of training in their zones. But for me, I've always used the 5 zones. So zone 3 for me is going to be fairly moderate, kind of quite easily repeatable. I could ride for a very long time in that zone, which makes it very good for a test like this because I don't have to work too hard, but also I can do this quite a few times without making any difference to the results, I hope. I'm going to ride in zone 3 first on my mountain bike. I'm going to warm up first so I don't start off from cold, because I've just had a coffee as well, so it does make some difference. And then I'll ride in and keep my effort pretty regulated to see how far I get up the hill. I'll then repeat that on the e-bike, but actually I'm going to do it a couple of times on the e-bike. First I'll do it in my Eco, and then I'll do it in full power to see how much difference there is in the distance, but also to see if there's any difference in how much battery I'm using. All right, I'm freshly warmed up and ready to go on the mountain bike first. 5 minutes up this hill. Let's go. There we go, 5 minutes. Didn't get very far. That's shocked me. I averaged heart rate of 144, so right at the upper level of my zone 3, but all good. I'll tell you how far I got at the end, but like I say, I think I'll go quite a lot further on the e-bike. Right, first time on the e-bike in Eco. All right, so of course I've got all the data, which I'll dig into in the end, because I've got to do my full power boost run yet. But kind of surprisingly, my Eco run was literally within a stone's throw of what I did on the mountain bike. So same effort, same time, stone's throw away. Surprisingly, a little bit maybe, but I've always thought that probably riding an e-bike in Eco isn't that much different. I guess that proves that it really isn't. It's like, what is that? Probably less than 100 meters difference. So anyway, I'll roll back down and I will do a full power run and hopefully I'll be up the hill. All right, third time's a charm, full power in the boost. Let's get up this hill. All right, into the results. I obviously tried to keep my effort within zone 3, but it's kind of, you can never do it exactly the same. But my average heart rate was well inside there. Start with the mountain bike. I rode 0.72 of a kilometre in 5 minutes, don't forget. 73 metres of elevation up. My average speed was 8.7 kilometres an hour. So on to Eco on the e-mountain bike, as you probably saw. So I actually rode 70 meters further, 0.79 kilometers, 75 meters, another 2 meters of climbing, average speed of 9.4 kilometers. And actually I recorded the percentage of battery I used, so 2% of battery. Actually on my Garmin, it gives you the percentage quite accurately. Obviously on the Shimano display, it gives you those 5 chunks, so it's much more accurate to use your Garmin with the percentage. Moving on to the boost, well, I went a lot further, double the mountain bike and more. I rode 1.67 kilometers in the 5 minutes, elevation of 116 meters, average speed of 20, so I absolutely bombed along, max speed of like 27 kilometers an hour, so way faster. But actually, interesting, I used 6% of battery in 5 minutes. So 2% on Eco, 6% on boost. So I think that's really interesting. Obviously you do go a lot further, but it's quite nice to put a number to it. And obviously if you were fitter, you would go faster in zone 3. So all of the bikes, whatever you were on, you would go a bit further. Quite often now, when I'm my normal rides, I kind of judge a decent mountain bike ride to be about 600 meters of elevation up. Normally in about an hour. I think if I've done any less than 600 meters, it's not a proper ride. Whereas on my e-bike in boost, it's 1,000 meters plus in that hour. So that's kind of how I compare what is a suitable or a good, decent ride for me. And actually it turns out to be about 20 kilometers in about an hour on an e-bike and probably about 13 kilometers on the mountain bike. But actually on a mountain bike, I tend to be zone 3, zone 4. And actually on an e-mountain bike, I stay mostly in zone 3. But on this bike, obviously it does have the big battery and I have done rides basically just going up and down, up and down. It's kind of how I ride this thing, and I've done 1800 meters of elevation on that 900 watt-hour bike. So jump into the comments, let me know if you found it surprising. I kind of was surprised how close the Eco was to the mountain bike, but yeah, the Boost blew it away. Jump in the comments, let me know how far you get as well on your average ride on your e-mountain bike, and if you use Boost or if you use a mix of the powers.